Okay, good day everyone. So we are going to start with the first topic in meteorology, which is an introduction to meteorology and the atmosphere. Okay, of course, in this session we are going to define meteorology and atmosphere, and then we will also describe the atmosphere and its role in the description of climate. Okay, meteorology is defined as the scientific study of the atmosphere and phenomena that we usually refer to as weather. It is considered as one of the earth sciences that seek to understand our planet. Now, it is more concentrated on understanding the atmosphere and our climate, so that is meteorology, and the weather conditions that we have. It was first discussed by Aristotle 340 BC in his book Meteorologica. In the 17th and 18th centuries, meteorology came with the advent of instrumentation such as thermometers and barometers. Before, they were just observing the sky, tapos kung ano yung mga different signs, then they compile it so that they will be able to predict the weather condition. But during the 17th and 18th centuries, meron ng mga instruments like thermometers to measure the temperature and then barometers to measure pressure. In the 19th century naman, we are having the observations being done routinely, and then it's also being transmitted with telegraph. That is what we call synoptic meteorology. Okay, how do we define weather? And how is it different from climate? The term weather refers to the state of the atmosphere at a given time and at a given place. It may actually change. Halimbawa, within the day, pwedeng magkaroon tayo ng iba-ibang weather conditions. Okay, from day to day, iba rin yung weather conditions. Within the month, we have different weather conditions. Changes in the weather are continuous and sometimes erratic. Nevertheless, it is still possible to arrive at generalization of these variations. So that is how we define weather. It is different from climate because climate naman is an aggregate weather conditions based on observations which were accumulated over decades. There are basic elements for us to be able to identify weather conditions. In meteorology, we have to describe the temperature of the air, the type and amount of cloudiness, the type and amount of precipitation, the pressure exerted by the air, and the speed and wind direction. In our course, meteorology, we are going to cover that chapter by chapter. So, hindi siya part pa na introduction. But as we go along the discussion of meteorology, we will be able to identify those weather conditions. The first photograph is the Earthrise, and then the other one is the blue marble. Where in Earthrise, it was resulted from the exploration ng Apollo 8. And then yung blue marble naman by Apollo 17. They were trying to understand the moon, and that exploration was to explore the moon, but they were able to understand the earth better because of that exploration. So, naintindihan nila yan. They were able to see the atmosphere of the earth. So, there are swirling clouds, and then that it's considered as a blue planet, and so on. So, that's why we have here the quotation, we came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing is that we discovered the earth. So in this course, you are going to discover more about the earth, and you are going to understand our home planet, Earth. I think you are able to discuss this in your earth science. We have the earth spheres. Okay, we have the geosphere, the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. Okay, geosphere, from the term geo, that is the solid portion of the earth. It has a depth of around 6,400 kilometers. It is divided into core, mantle, and crust. Okay, as we know, yung crust, that's the thinnest portion of the Earth's geosphere. And then we have the mantle, the thick layer of hot rock. Then we also have the outer core, made up of molten metal, mostly iron, and the inner core, solid metal, and also mostly iron. Okay, the atmosphere, it's the gas envelope surrounding the Earth. We have an interaction between Earth's atmosphere and the Earth's surface produces weather. So all weather conditions that we have, of course, can be found in the atmosphere. But it is also affected by the geosphere. Okay? Later, we are going to discuss the different layers of the atmosphere. There we have the air, water, land, and life. So those are the four spheres of the earth. We have the air, so that it represents the atmosphere. And then the water, we have the hydrosphere, the land, the geosphere, and then the life is the biosphere. So they are all interrelated. That's why we consider them as a system or as the earth system. One sphere can affect the other, and pwede yung magkaroon ng effect sa lahat ng part ng earth system. Okay, for example, we have here earth as a complex interrelated system. So water cycle, which deals with the hydrosphere and the atmosphere, meron nagkakaroon ng interaction yung hydrosphere and the atmosphere. When water vapor or when water evaporates, water from oceans or different bodies of water, they evaporate, and then it will go through the atmosphere, and nagkaroon na sila ng interaction. And then, of course, even the biosphere can affect that. Or even the biosphere can be affected. Halimbawa, if we have weather conditions na malakas naman yung ulan o magkakaroon ng baha, so it may cause landslide. So that will affect the geosphere. Or that has affected the geosphere. Tapos, pwede siyang magkaroon ng damage sa buhay ng mga tao. So that will affect the biosphere. So they are all interrelated. The ecosystems, the atmosphere, the geosphere, the hydrosphere, the biosphere, they are all connected. Okay? So that's why we consider them as the Earth system. Now let's discuss more of the Earth's atmosphere. So you can see in the illustration, there's a thin layer of the air covering the Earth. So that is our atmosphere. Now I want you to look at the composition of the gas in the atmosphere. We have nitrogen, which is 78.084%. We have the oxygen, which is 20.95%. The carbon dioxide, which is very small, 0.0391%. Then we have the argon, 0.934%, and others such as neon, helium, methane, krypton, and hydrogen. So what can you say about the gas concentration in the atmosphere? So we still have higher oxygen. But we know the condition of the earth, meron tayo tinatawag na global warming. So which has resulted from excessive carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. So yan din ang another way that we interact with the atmosphere. Yung the biosphere producing a lot of carbon dioxide, which may affect the atmosphere or our weather conditions. Let's discuss the gases one by one. Let's first have carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, even though maliit yung amount niya sa ating atmosphere, it plays a major role in the weather conditions that we have. It is considered as meteorologically important constituent of air because it is an efficient absorber of energy emitted by the earth. Okay, again, the earth receives solar radiation or solar energy coming from the sun, but it also radiates that energy. And then that energy could be trapped in the atmosphere because of the presence of carbon dioxide. Because carbon dioxide, even though they are only a portion or a very small amount in the atmosphere, they are a very efficient absorber of the heat coming from the sun and also emitted by the earth. So you can see here in the graph, we have this what we call the hockey stick. Noong una, yung carbon dioxide natin, yan, we have here, ganyan level lang. But at this point, there is an abrupt change in the level of the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. Now, naalala nyo yung mga news before na nung nagkaroon ng lockdown, according to scientists, nagkaroon din tayo ng decrease in the level of carbon dioxide. So what could be the reason behind having a carbon dioxide concentration increased? higher concentration of carbon dioxide, we can attribute that to industrial activities. And right now, I think this could be attributed to transportation. Kaya nga sabi nila, during the lockdown, wala masyadong gumagamit ng transportation. So, bumaba yung level ng carbon dioxide. And that could be a good research for this course na pwede nyo i-check kung anong level na ng carbon dioxide nung nagkaroon tayo ng lockdown. Okay, another gas present in the atmosphere, or we have here water in a form of gas. We have water vapor, which also plays a very important role in atmospheric condition or in weather conditions. Water vapor is described as source of all clouds and precipitation, and also they have it has the ability to absorb heat given off by the earth as well as some solar energy. So very efficient absorber din ng heat ang water vapor. When water also changes its phase, pwede siyang mag-absorb or mag-release ng heat. When we say it's absorbing heat, it could actually be considered as a cooling process for the environment. So again, it may absorb heat. So yung environment na maiiwan niya ng energy ay bababa ang temperature. But also during a phase change, it may also release energy. So magkakaroon naman ng dagdag na temperature yung surroundings. So you see, water vapor will really play a big role in our climate or in our weather conditions. Pagtaas, pagbaba ng temperature, okay? We have aerosols. They are tiny solids and liquid particles suspended in air. It includes sea salts, fine soil, smoke, soot, pollen, and microorganisms. They are also most numerous in the lower atmosphere, and they may act as surfaces on which water vapor may condense. Okay, during the process of condensation, yung bago umulan. So, aerosols also play important role para sa ating weather conditions. They can absorb also and reflect incoming solar radiation. Okay? And they contribute to optical phenomena. Diba, bakit red yung sky during sunset? Bakit iba rin yung kulay ng sky kapag nasa, diba, Metro Manila tayo? Because there are larger suspended particles there kumpara kapag nasa probinsya tayo or kapag nasa Zambales. So, they contribute in that optical phenomena. Meron din tayo, hopefully we can reach that discussion on optical phenomenon also. Okay. And then another gas which plays an important role in the atmosphere is ozone. It is a form of oxygen that combines 3 oxygen atoms, so yan yung O sub 3, into each molecule. This ozone is concentrated in the stratosphere. That's why sinasabi nila ozone layer is found in the stratosphere. They are also considered to be absorbent of ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun. Kaya nga kapag sinasabing nagkakaroon ng ozone layer depletion, so magkakaroon din ng mas mataas na solar energy ang maa-absorb ng Earth, specifically UV rays, especially ultraviolet radiation, which is very harmful for us. Okay, nitrogen is also a gas. It is the most abundant. However, konti lang yung contribution niya when it comes to weather conditions. Kasi it is considered to be a poor absorber of incoming solar radiation. Okay, now I want you to look at this one, the vertical structure of the atmosphere. Okay, so what is pressure? Atmospheric pressure is the total mass of air above any level. Parang ano yan? When we say pressure, it's force per unit area. So, in physics, when we say force, halimbawa, meron tayong air, yung mass niya, so that is considered to be, yung mass ng air, gagawin mo siyang force, so that will be the weight of the air. And then, yun yung force na na-exert niya at a particular area. So, that is atmospheric pressure, is the weight or the force exerted by the air column dun sa particular area na yon. Okay? Okay, you can see here, initially, there is an abrupt decrease in pressure. And then after that, there is a gradual decrease in pressure as the altitude increases. Okay, now I want you to look at this. These are different layers of the atmosphere. We have the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. And look at how temperature changes dun sa different layers niya. You can see here, sa troposphere, as you go higher the troposphere, the temperature decreases. Pagdating mo naman sa stratosphere, the temperature increases. Pagdating sa mesosphere, temperature decreases again. And then when you go to thermosphere, temperature increases again. Okay? Now let's describe each layer of the atmosphere. Okay, let's have first the troposphere. Troposphere is the bottom layer of the atmosphere where temperature decreases with an increase in altitude. Meron tayong tinatawag na environmental lapse. So how much is the decrease in the temperature? It is 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So that is the environmental lapse rate. 1 kilometer, magdi-decrease siya na 6.5. Another kilometer, mag-decrease na naman siya na 6.5. It is also known to be the layer where weather phenomena or weather conditions happen. Okay, also sphere is also known as the weather sphere. Okay, what happens to the temperature in the troposphere? As you go higher the altitude, yung kaninang illustration, as you go higher, dun sa altitude niya, the temperature decreases because you are moving further from the Earth. So you know, Earth also releases heat. So, pag lumalayo ka sa kanya, medyo lumalamig na yung temperature. Next layer. Let's now discuss the stratosphere. It lies beyond troposphere. So, first layer is the troposphere. The next is the stratosphere. And then the boundary between troposphere and stratosphere is also known as tropopause. The temperature is nearly constant at a height of about 20 kilometers and then begins a sharp increase until stratopause, which is at 50 kilometers. Higher temperature occurs in this layer because it is where ozone layer is found. So we know that ozone layer absorbs energy or absorbs ultraviolet radiation, kaya the temperature increases at that particular layer of the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, mesosphere, it is the third layer of the atmosphere. Ang nangyayari naman dito, again, temperature decreases farther from the Earth and also you are moving farther from the stratosphere. The average temperature approaches at negative 90 degrees Celsius. Kay mesosphere, dyan nila sinasabing yung umaabot yung mga meteors based on that illustration. Okay, it is where meteors are destroyed in that layer. Okay, thermosphere is the outermost layer of the atmosphere and then it extends outward from the mesopause. So yun naman yung boundary ng mesosphere and thermosphere. Temperatures increase again due to the absorption of short wave. Pag sinabi natin short wave, they have high energy because they have higher frequency. Okay, they are high energy solar radiation by atoms of oxygen and nitrogen. Temperature can also rise to more than 1,000 degrees Celsius, but surprisingly, it will not feel hot. Bakit kaya? Okay, in the thermosphere, mataas yung temperature niya. When we say temperature is the average kinetic energy of the translational motion of the particles. Mabilis yung movement ng particles. But take note, as you move higher the altitude, the pressure decreases. Pag sinabi natin nagdi-decrease yung pressure, that means kumukunti yung mga particles present at a particular area or at a particular volume. So at that layer, even though mataas yung kinetic energy ng particles, considerably mababa naman yung number of particles. Kaya it will not result to a significant amount of heat na mafe-feel natin na mainit. Okay? There is also another layering of the atmosphere na kinoconsider nila because of composition. We have the homosphere and then the heterosphere. Pag sinabi nating homosphere, syempre sinasabing uniform ang composition from the term homo, from the term homogeneous in chemistry. But when we say heterosphere, different naman yung proportions ng composition ng gases. unlike in the Thermosphere na uniform yung proportions na gas. Ang maunang layer na in this one, we have, pinakamabigat ay nitrogen. And then pinakamagaan naman ang hydrogen. Okay? That is our discussion about the atmosphere and then the different gases present in the atmosphere which plays an important role in our weather conditions. Okay, in the next video, we are going to discuss about the heating of the earth. Okay, bye!